in the past 2 days. Honestly, I think I praised a total of 2 leftists for their reaction to Charlie's death, and both of them have now reversed themselves on their human decency. It's amazing. Literally, the only 2 leftists who I actually had a kind word for because they reacted appropriately have now reversed themselves on their kindnesses. It's so disheartening. One is Gavin Newsom. Shame on him, because he invited Charlie on his podcast, and Charlie went and sat in the lion's den with a far left guy, was courteous to him. I think he was his inaugural guest. Did him that courtesy, bringing all these eyeballs to his show. And what does Gavin Newsom do? Betrays him. So here's what Gavin said to Charlie when Charlie was sitting on his set about Gavin Newsom's own son, Sot 1.
Last night, trying to put my son to bed, he's like, no, Dad, what time? What time's Charlie going to be here? What time? And I'm like, dude, you're in school tomorrow. He's 13. He's like, no. This morning, wakes up at 6 something. He's like, I'm coming. I'm like, he literally would not leave the house.
Did you let him take off school?
No, he did. Of course not. He's not here for a good reason. But the point is
you canceled school for like 2 years. One day.
The point is the point, which is you are making a damn dent.
Thank you. I'm kidding.
So his son was such an ardent fan that he begged Gavin Newsom to let him stay home from school, begged him to tell him exactly what time they had to get up and Charlie was coming, and then was obviously very disappointed that he didn't get to go. And here's Gavin Newsom on CNN Monday with an entirely different description of what went down, Sot 2.
That's your son, obviously a fan of Charlie Kirk. What was the conversation like between you and your son after Charlie Kirk was assassinated?
Well, he called me. I don't know how he got a phone, but he called me from school that day, really alarmed. And all his friends were around the phone that wanted me to somehow express or understand what was going on. He wanted to know if he was dead. He wasn't a fan of him as much as he was familiar with
really?
him. And it was very revelatory for me because he's also out there. My son is 11, 12 years old. He's sitting there talking to me about not just Charlie Kirk, but folks like Andrew Tate. And he's, sort of beyond Joe Rogan, in many ways, sort of Facebook in so many respects of sort of this novelty of the pod, manosphere, et cetera. And it was so interesting to me in that context that he knew so much about Kirk. And that was a true story. I didn't know what he was staying or stand for. He didn't even have a strong position himself.
Oh, okay. So now it's suddenly he wasn't a fan as much as just familiar with Charlie. And that's why he begged his father to let him meet Charlie, to get up early in the day, to skip school just so he could shake Charlie's hand. Just because of his familiarity, not his fandom.
Yeah, familiarity is a very weak word. None of us are excited by saying one we're familiar with. It's a value-neutral word, right? We might be familiar with people we don't care about at all or actually dislike. And his son sounded like much more than familiar in that the way he described it in the interview with Charlie. Classic Gavin, different story, different audience, different time. I would say, though, the part I found most interesting in that CNN clip was as he went on and said that admitted that Democrats have a problem with young people and young men in particular. And, this is a huge problem for them. It's notable that at least Gavin's aware of it and willing to talk about it publicly. But he said something that really struck me, that if this were any other group, that Democrats would be so concerned about their welfare and how do we help them thrive. But instead, they've crapped on young men, especially young white men, for decades. And this has been a group that's been struggling, despite the story arising in the 90s, that women were having a huge problem. At the same time, women on all the metrics were leaping ahead, and the guys were clearly falling behind. But we're all beholden to that narrative until the last, couple of years or so. But this is a huge political problem for Democrats. I don't think Gavin is going to unlock it or solve it. But isn't it interesting that he's aware of it and talking about it?
He's definitely not going to unlock it with rhetoric like that about Charlie, backing off of acknowledging how strong an influence he was and why. And by the way, in that same clip, he said Trump exploited the problems of young men to get elected. By that, do you mean he helped them? He saw them? He heard them? He recognized what they were going through and gave voice to it and promised them that he was going to stop it. And then on day one of his administration, reversed many of the policies that had been so demonizing them as a matter of of policy by the Biden administration. Is that exploiting them? He's still not able to get honest about it. Shame on him. Shame on him for his dishonesty about Charlie and everything when it comes to Gavin Newsom. The second person is Jamie Lee Curtis. Here's Jamie Lee Curtis, okay? She became emotional right after, 3 days after Charlie was killed, in talking about Charlie. And we gave her credit for, even though she has a trans kid, she recognized Charlie didn't, he was where I am on the trans issues. She didn't love that, but she recognized a man had been killed. And this is a bit of what she said on that day, SOT 7.
I'm going to bring something up with you just because it's front of mind.
Yeah.
Charlie Crist was killed 2 days ago.
Charlie.
I'm sorry.
Kirk. Right?
Kirk. I just call him Crist. I think because of Christ, because of his deep belief. I mean, I disagreed with him on almost every point I ever heard him say.
Yeah.
But I believe he was a man of faith. And I hope in that moment when he died that he felt connected to his faith, even though I find his ideas were abhorrent to me.
Yeah.
I still believe he's a father and a husband and a man of faith. And I hope whatever connection to God means that he felt it.
Now she gives an interview to Variety, a cover story on her for the Power of Women issue. And she walked back her sympathy. An excerpt of my comments mistranslated what I was saying as I wished him well, like I was talking about him in a very positive way, which I wasn't. I was simply talking about his faith in God. And so it was a mistranslation, which is a pun, but not. Then she goes on to say, in the binary world today, you cannot hold two ideas at the same time. I cannot be Jewish and totally believe in Israel's right to exist and at the same time reject the destruction of Gaza. You can't say that because you get vilified for having a mind that says, I can hold both of these thoughts. I can be contradictory in that way. And then they say, oh, well, being a public figure, you must have to be careful. And then she sits up straight and glares at me. I don't have to be careful. If I was careful, I wouldn't have told you any of what I just told you. I just would have said, hi, welcome. I baked you banana bread. Here's my dog. Here's my house, blah, blah, blah. What do you want to know? I cannot be who I am in the moment. I can't not be who I am in the moment I am. But that's completely dishonest. She walked this back because she clearly got blowback over it, Rich. If she really were this fearless person who would say anything, the consequences be damned, she wouldn't feel such an urge to make sure people knew she was mistranslated into saying, people thinking that she wished him well, which she very much wants us to know she did not.
Yeah, she's just familiar with him, it turns out, right?
Right.
But if you play that clip from 2 days, I guess she said, after the assassination, it's so moving, right? That's heart-rending just listening to it. That's genuine sympathy and grief. There's no mistranslating that at all. But I think what in both these instances, maybe what we're encountering, going back to the poll numbers you were reading earlier with regard to ICE and Democratic attitudes, is the pull of that 80%, right? That Charlie Kirk is a fascist as far as these people are concerned at the end of the day. And they're just limited sympathy. You might have some sympathy in the immediate aftermath of a horrific event, and then that gravitational pull, he's not just on the other side. He's a hater. He's with the Nazis. Turns them around. He's
the enemy. And all that, I feel actively endangers those of us who are on the right and who are out there speaking to crowds and trying to keep the conversation going. And I really resent it. I think this is a time to show your humanity. That's what the American people want to see. They want to see your humanity. Absolutely. They don't want further division right now, and yet that's all we're getting from them. Buy gold and get free silver. That's right. For every $5,000 purchased from Birch Gold Group this month in advance of Veterans Day, they will send you a free patriotic silver round that commemorates the Gadsden and American flags. Look, gold is up over 40% since the beginning of this year, and Birch Gold can help you own it by converting an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. Plus, they'll send you free silver honoring our veterans on qualifying purchases. And if you are current or former military, Birch Gold has a special offer just for you. They are waiving custodial fees for the first year on investments of any amount. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, consider diversifying your savings into gold. Text MK to the number 989898 for a free info kit and to claim your eligibility for free silver with qualifying purchase before the end of the month. Again, text MK to the number 989898. Message and data rates may apply. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.